Bone strength is a crucial factor. To begin with, bone strength is a measure of overall health. Second, some persons have fractures when their bones are weak. Thus, it is crucial to preserve bone strength. What is bone strength in this video? If bone strength is low, what should we do? How do we locate it? How do we stop it? We'll see in more depth. How can you keep your bones strong? One of our body's pillars is bone. Our weight, muscles, and organs are supported by it. Bone serves as our body's basis. We are accountable for laying a solid foundation. Atrophy, or bone density, is a property of bone. The density of bones is normal. Osteoporosis is the term for low bone density. Bone is comparable to a sponge. Bone trabeculae are abundant in sponge. Atrophy is as strong as bone. Osteoporosis is the term for low bone density. Between childhood and the ages of 30 and 35, bone density increases. Bone density will reach a high level by the ages of 30 to 35 if we maintain an active lifestyle and eat healthily. We refer to this as peak bone mass. It is at that age when bone mass will peak. Peak indicates that by the ages of 30 to 35, bone density will have reached a high level. Therefore, peak bone mass will be low if we are not very active as children and if we do not eat a healthy diet. After then, it will gradually begin to decline. Everyone will experience a decline, but it will be too late to acquire weakness if it drops from a high level. Osteoporosis will develop quickly if the peak is low. This is the peak bone mass correlation. Therefore, osteoporosis will develop later if we are active at a young age and have a high peak bone mass. A low peak bone mass will soon lead to osteoporosis. Therefore, for the bone to strengthen and reach its maximum mass, there are 4 to 5 crucial factors. Everyone is aware of how crucial calcium is for healthy bones. The primary mineral that is deposited in bone is calcium. Calcium should therefore be sufficient. It will be placed in the bone if it is sufficient. Calcium can be found in a variety of food sources. Calcium is found in a variety of foods. Calcium is abundant in all milk products. Cheese, paneer, buttermilk, curd, etc. Since it is a milk product, all of them contain calcium. Therefore, calcium intake is not an issue for people who have consumed enough milk products. However, a lot of individuals avoid consuming milk products these days. Whether it is correct or not is a different matter. We should obviously explore for other calcium sources for people who do not use milk product. For additional vegetarian calcium sources, ragi is a great option. The inclusion of dosa and other Caroline foods in your diet is a great way to get calcium. Furthermore, broccoli and other green foods contain some calcium. Therefore, eating a lot of green veggies will benefit you in practically every situation. In particular, it will make up for the calcium consumption. Thus, calcium intake from vegetarian sources has been observed. Calcium is abundant in non-vegetarian sources as well. Foods high in calcium include fish, poultry, prawns, eggs, and so on. Therefore, if we consume milk products as part of a balanced diet, if we exclude green vegetables, ragi, and milk products, almonds, broccoli, and almonds are likewise high in calcium. Thus, we will obtain a significant amount of calcium if we incorporate all of these. Generally speaking, excessive calcium consumption is not harmful. Your body will eliminate calcium if you consume large amounts of it. Therefore, consuming large amounts of calcium while eating is not problematic. However, eating a lot of calcium when taking supplements is not a good idea. You can consume a large quantity of these items while you are eating. That is not problematic. We should only use calcium supplements if our diet is inadequate. A lot of people inquire about the possibility of taking calcium supplements. It is not necessary to use calcium supplements if you are eating a healthy diet, due to the abundance of dietary sources. In just 2 minutes, we have covered a lot of ground. Calcium comes from a variety of sources. One substance that is present in everyday foods is calcium. You will obtain calcium if you take it in sufficient amounts. However, calcium alone is insufficient. Vitamin D is essential if you want calcium to reach your bone. You are free to consume as much calcium as you like. However, calcium will not reach your bones if you are deficient in vitamin D. It will be a waste. Calcium comes from a variety of dietary sources, which is the primary distinction between it and vitamin D. Food is a good source of calcium. That is not the case with vitamin D. Very few foods contain vitamin D. Fish that are fat. Numerous fatty fish products are available. They contain vitamin D. Some goods made from liver include vitamin D. Vitamin D is not present in the majority of vegetarian sources. It is a vitamin that dissolves in fat. Therefore, vitamin D is absent from many vegetarian sources. However, is it necessary for everyone to take vitamin D supplements? Not at all. Because vitamin D can be secreted by our body. One vital organ is our skin. Vitamin D can be produced by our body through the skin. Only exposure to sunshine is necessary for it. Through our skin, we can release vitamin D if we are exposed to sunlight. That's sufficient. Vitamin D from food is not necessary for us. Vitamin D is automatically produced when we are exposed to sunlight. We get plenty of sunlight and spend a lot of time outside in our Indian way of life. Vitamin D was therefore not an issue. However, in the modern world, many people go out at night after we leave for work in the morning. The sun is not even visible to us. There are very few sources of vitamin D when things are like that. They have adjusted to this in the higher countries. Sunlight is scarce in many nations. Sunlight is absent for several days. As a result, people don't regularly go outside in the sun. They often incorporate vitamin D into milk. Vitamin D is already fortified in the milk bottles or boxes kids receive. Just like it is in the milk packets we get at home. Vitamin D has already been added. Because they spend a lot of time out of direct sunshine. Vitamin D has already become accustomed to them. That's not the case in our nation. Sunlight exposure has increased significantly during the past 30 to 40 years. In addition, vitamin D insufficiency is widespread. 80% of the young adults in the random sample who were in good health had vitamin D insufficiency. 80%. Since nobody goes outside in the sun. Therefore, exposure to sunlight is crucial for vitamin D. You won't be exposed to as much sunshine if you go for a walk at 6 in the morning. Because ultraviolet photons, or UV rays, are created when sunlight strikes our skin. We won't be exposed to UV rays from the early morning sun for that. However, in order to synthesize vitamin D, you must be exposed to sunlight, which is why you should go for a walk at 12 p.m., 8 a.m., or 4 p.m. We then require exposure to sunlight in order to produce vitamin D. You can meet your daily vitamin D needs if you have 15 to 20 minutes each day. Vitamin D is the greatest supplement if you are unable to do that. There are extremely few dietary sources, as I mentioned before. Exposure to sunlight is a supplement. The supplement is really easy to use. We require between 30,000 and 60,000 international units of vitamin D per month. It's sufficient once a month. We store it in our bodies for a month and gradually use it up. 60,000 may seem like a lot when we talk about international units, but it is actually a relatively little quantity. It comes in a sachet, tablet, or capsule form. It is preferable to take vitamin D supplements when exposed to sunlight. A lot of my medical buddies regularly use vitamin D pills, because there is virtually little exposure to sunlight. However, you shouldn't take any more. The necessary amount is 60,000 for a month. This is sufficient for a supplement. We administer it once a week for 8 weeks to treat vitamin D insufficiency. We update it once a month after that. For maintenance and ordinary routine purposes, 60,000 units of vitamin D per month is sufficient. In addition to calcium and vitamin D, protein is the most crucial component. There is more to bones than just calcium. Many bones are composed of collagen. One kind of protein is collagen. Calcium is deposited in protein, which serves as the base. That's how bones are made. Vitamin D and calcium are necessary. A healthy protein intake is also necessary. Our diets contain protein, but we must consume it in the right amounts. For vegans in particular, eating a lot of rice will result in inadequate protein intake. Dal is a good vegetarian protein source. Different types of dal are great protein sources. The types of chana, rajma, and kandakadalai are excellent sources of protein. They are good sources of protein and nearly as good as non-vegetarian foods. A substantial amount of protein can also be found in milk and milk products. Taking supplements is not necessary. Our native Indian cuisine is high in protein. However, we must handle it appropriately. If you look at it, there is some protein in wheat and rice, but not much, so you shouldn't focus just on rice and chapati. Aside from that, there is a lot of protein in non-vegetarian sources including meat, fish, and chicken. You shouldn't be concerned about it if you take non-vegetarian food every day. Eating a non-vegetarian meal once a week is not enough to provide us with enough protein in our culture. You will require protein the following day if you only eat non-vegetarian food once a week. That comes from milk products and dal. Thus, we examined protein, calcium, and vitamin D. We can eat a healthy diet and as much as we like. All of these, however, are insufficient if you wish to gain bone strength. Exercise is necessary for the bone. We work out at the gym in order to gain muscle. The bone will become stronger with activity. The bone will gradually weaken if you don't use it and don't exercise. You are free to consume as much calcium as you like. You can take vitamins with vitamin D. You can consume healthy protein. However, the bone will not become stronger without exercise. Weight-bearing exercise is the term used to describe exercise that is very beneficial to the bones, particularly the legs. Exercise that involves weight-bearing strengthens bones by applying a load to them. Walking is the most basic. The activity isn't difficult. The most basic weight-bearing activity is walking. The bones in our legs and thighs bear the brunt of our body weight as we walk and apply pressure on those bones. Walking is therefore the most basic weight-bearing activity. You can perform additional exercises to strengthen the hand bone. Push-ups need you to place your body's weight on your hand. You can perform ball push-ups if you are unable to perform them on the floor. The hand bone will become stronger if you do this. In addition, performing squats and half squats helps strengthen your bones. Exercises involving weight-bearing are not easy. Jogging, walking, and skipping will all place a lot of strain on the bone. Perform each of these. Weight-bearing exercise for 20 minutes a day is crucial. Unless there is another process at work, you can keep the bone strong by doing all of these things. Bone deficiency may be exacerbated in certain individuals by endocrine or hormonal issues. If you have parathyroid or thyroid issues, you can fix them. The bone density will drop if you don't fix it. You may have heard that osteoporosis will develop and women's bone strength will deteriorate following menopause. This is because estrogen will keep you safe till menopause. The loss of calcium from the bone will be prevented by estrogen. It will be beneficial in preserving the bone's strength. The bone will deteriorate after menopause as the estrogen support declines. You should adhere to all of these if you're looking at menopause time. Menopause might come early for some people. You should assess their bone density if they have a uterus or are going through menopause for another cause. You can administer treatments and supplements if it declines. It is not necessary for everyone to examine their bone density. In cases of early menopause, hormonal deficiencies, thyroid issues, or parathyroid issues, a bone density test is sufficient. It's not necessary for everyone to do it every day. We now know how to preserve bone density. A common question is asked by many people: does my low bone strength lead me to feel pain in my body? In general, pain is quite uncommon when bone strength is poor. Bone weakening, or osteoporosis, is a disease that goes unnoticed. Being silent indicates that you are not experiencing any pain. You may sense that it's a tiny fracture. We refer to it as an osteoporotic fracture. The bone is brittle and prone to breaking. It is referred to as an osteoporotic fracture if it is broken when you fall from a standing height. It is a widespread ailment among the elderly. The thigh or hip joint may sustain a fracture. This fracture occurs frequently. The illness is silent. It's not something you can sense outside. Keep your bones healthy by focusing on these steps. It will prevent bone fractures and improve your overall health. Please leave a comment below if you have any questions concerning osteoporosis-related fractures, bone strength, or density. Please use the comment box to ask any queries you may have. Without a doubt, we will discuss them in the upcoming videos.